The modern state of McDonald's is a sad, greasy shadow of what it once was. Instead of a proud, golden-arched monument of plenty provided by capitalism, it's a dark, tiled refuge for grown adults having a depressive episode. For a good long while, McDonald's was the most delectable meal a sticky-fingered child could hope for. Days-long campaigns were waged to break down a weary parent's psyche, enough to allow their child entry to Sodium Mecca.
Sonic Skateboard!
It was used as a reward for good grades, for birthdays, for not trying to reverse a pediatrician's flu shot syringe back into their sternum John Wick style. Leaning back in a squeaky, injection-molded chair, mouth stained from a kingly cup containing a cocktail of 3 to 5 different sodas, your Oshkoshes stubbled with McNugget dust, it felt like you died with honor in some sort of child war, and gone to a 10-year-old's version of Valhalla. And sitting at the head of the table in this figurative Viking longhouse, a pantheon of some of the strangest children's fast food mascots ever devised. Welcome to Canonball. Yes, even in the strange, manipulative world of children's advertising,
My kids, exclusively at Sears.
the McDonald's roster stands out as the sort of thing a sailor would dream right before succumbing to scurvy. Led, of course, by the head honcho, omnipresent food clown Ronald McDonald, who popped up way back in the 1960s. This was a different time, when mascots weren't carefully manufactured to mean nothing and everything through an endless gauntlet of focus groups. They could just be one guy's sleep paralysis demon, and everybody else would shrug their shoulders and go, well, we'll try it. Ronald McDonald wasn't even created by the McDonald's Corporation itself. His first iteration came about because a Washington, D.C. franchisee made some ads with the local actor who portrayed beloved TV clown Bozo.
I'm not even supposed to be here.
Yeah, people genuinely found clowns entertaining back then because the air was thick with leaded gasoline. Local Bozo, which, sidebar, is what the kids call me at the bodega. Anyway, local Bozo portrayer and weatherman Willard Scott was hired by DC franchisee Oscar Goldstein to come up with a new custom clown, and Ronald McDonald was born. Sort of.
Here I am, kid. Hey, isn't watching TV fun?
Scott's version of Ronald was even more unsettling than the widely accepted one, with a cup for a nose, a tray full of food for a hat, and a magic belt buckle that dispensed burgers to children. Yeah, just have children reach for a clown's belt line and grab a handful of meat. Burger boss Ray Kroc saw the commercials and their potential, but also wisely realized that even a regular clown is plenty weird. The commercials were made national, but Ronald was redesigned to his modern look, and Willard Scott himself was kicked to the curb with a giant red shoe, partly because they thought he was too fat, which, mean, but also, I get it. There's a reason they don't give the Burger King gout. Ronald was an immediate hit, especially among children who, McDonald's quickly realized, were phenomenal little rubes. Their soft, developing brains were perfect for imprinting on, and their tiny, agile hands were perfect for navigating into their parents' wallets. So they found themselves in need of a supporting cast for their brand new clown ads. And credit where credit's due, they didn't half-ass it. They double or even triple-assed it and created a massive, confusing world, complete with a government and corresponding criminal element. Like the Hamburglar, a man whose life mission is to steal all hamburgers, maybe because of an undiagnosed iron deficiency? Despite his thievery, he was still beloved, with his iconic outfit of sort of like if a raccoon became a pimp.
What you say about my mama?
The bad news is, the Hamburglar I just showed you, that was the less unsettling version, because when he first debuted, he was called the Lone Jogger, a Lone Ranger reference that was already outdated, and he had scary teeth and a long hooked nose. Here's a tip for pretty much all companies. If you're making a greedy, scheming mascot, avoid giving them a hooked nose. Just a pretty good ground rule to stay on the right side of history. But the Hamburglar wasn't the only food thief they invented. It seemed like McDonald's plan was to assign each mascot an item to covet and attempt to steal. Hence, we got the original Grimace, a 6-limbed purple monstrosity whose id was preoccupied with the acquisition and consumption of milkshakes. His evil origins do give a little bit of context for why a happy-go-lucky creature is named for the expression made when a detective sees a decaying corpse. With the original spider-like Grimace, though, McDonald's finally found the line at which their weird creatures became terrifying to children, forcing them to give him a regular number of limbs and abandon his life of crime, which left a massive, gaping hole in Grimace's canon, which has been filled with all sorts of insanity, most notably in an episode of the 90s cartoon The Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald called The Legend of Grimace Island, that revealed there's an island of Grimaces, and that they're a distinct species but also all related? Also, it was suggested at some point that he was a giant taste bud by a rogue franchisee in an interview, which is a myth, as much as something that's made up bullshit either way can qualify as a myth. The official line tweeted by McDonald's is that he's the embodiment of a milkshake. The man's lore is so confusing it makes Metal Gear Solid look straightforward.
I used to be an anime otaku.
Oh.
So, with all these thieves running rampant, who are their foes? Well, the hamburger government, Mayor McCheese and Officer Big Mac, both of whom are still intensely frightening, but at least less confusing. Hamburger Town, Hamburger Mayor, Hamburger Cop, I can process this. Also, Ronald McDonald is their enemy, but also their friend? His role in McDonaldland seems to be of some savior from a strange land, like a big-shoed traveling samurai. He's also distributing the population of McDonaldland, which are little hamburger men, to be eaten. So you know he's fighting a war on the inside. There were also thieves assigned to other menu items that didn't make the final cut, like Captain Crook, a pirate with a taste for fillet of fish. He faded into obscurity because they realized fillet of fish wasn't exactly a child's meal. If I saw a little kid tucking into a fillet of fish, I would assume it was just a small, sad man. Then there were the Fry Kids, previously the Fry Guys. Previously Goblins with 2 B's, which honestly rules. They should have stuck with that.
Millions and millions of goblins in the French fry patch.
Oh, they stole fries and squeaked.
We got your French fries.
Silly Fry Kids.
The only character to be later introduced that would stick was Birdie, the early bird. She arrived in the form of a giant egg that the other mascots seemingly incubated with their body heat overnight until it hatched. Despite being poultry and McDonald's having an iconic poultry item, technically, in the form of McNuggets, that was not her purpose. She was instead meant to get kids fiending for McDonald's breakfast offerings because I guess they were concerned that too many platelets were still capable of moving through their young arteries unobstructed. Birdie completed the lineup that's part of the popular consciousness today, but even though everyone remembers them, they're not actually featured that heavily by McDonald's anymore. And there's an easy reason. It's because as we got into the 2000s, parents started asking questions. Questions like, should my 10-year-old be grunting with exertion every time they stand up? And the country rightfully started giving a shit about both advertising unhealthy foods to kids and the unhealthiness of food overall. So, sadly, all of McDonald's work of building an inexplicable amount of goodwill towards a lineup of creatures that you'd expect to see popping out from behind the diner in Mulholland Drive went to waste. There is still one easy way to see them again. Just eat 2 spicy McChickens 10 minutes before you go to sleep, and they'll be waiting for you in your colicky nightmares. Goodbye. Thanks for watching this episode of Canonball. Don't forget to like and subscribe and take a guess as to what the hell the Hamburglar meant by robble robble in the comments. I feel like it's not offensive.